need me to do it.
Okay, good evening. Welcome to the Prescott BIA Board of Management meeting.
There we go.
BIA Board of Management meeting, June 14th, 2022. I'll call the meeting to order. Could I have an approval of the agenda?
Approved.
Linda and
Second.
Linda and Jeannie. Is there, so all in favor?
Aye.
Is there any declarations of interest this evening? Okay, none. There are no delegations, minutes of the previous meeting. Recommendation that the minutes dated May 10th, 2022 be accepted as presented. May I have a mover?
I'll move.
Well, second.
Seconder, Kevin. All in favor?
Aye.
Committee reports. Justin, you're up.
So we didn't do a great deal at the promotions committee meeting, as I recall. We discussed the summer passport and some ideas for moving forward. I'll be covering the summer passport in my presentation. And in the most substantial part of the beautification committee was a discussion of the lighting, and Dana's going to take you through that and the recommendation from the committee in the body of the agenda tonight.
Okay, thanks, Justin. And we'll address the recruitment committee further
The
down.
recruitment committee, we have a line item for that too.
Okay, financial report, Belinda.
Okay, so taking a look at the numbers, things look pretty good. So again, just high level, our budget for revenue was 29,000, our expenses were 10,000, and we ended up balanced. So at this point in time, in terms of the expense items, we're looking at $3,413 in regards to our coordinator. We just wanted to highlight that that number is not yet complete for May, so there may be a little bit more, but keeping in mind that we've got, like, we're getting close to 6 months into the year, 50% of the year, so a $10,000 budget, I'm comfortable that we're still in line. $243 for our membership. And we haven't really spent anything at this point in time, but we know that throughout the course of the summer and the fall, we have a lot of expenses that are going to be coming up because we're going to be doing some amazing things in terms of supporting our businesses and generating economic development. So just a high level in terms of our reserves, we've got $32,290.81. We've got $20,000 currently committed to in terms of $15,000 and $5,000 for the pop-ups, or $15,000 for the parquet, $5,000 for the pop-up. So that leaves us with $12,290.81. I just wanted to mention that so that everyone had that in mind in regards to our budget. Our budget in terms of what we're looking at is balanced. So if we're thinking of additional commitments, we have to keep in mind that really we have $12,000 to play with moving forward.
Thank you, Belinda. Recommendation that the financial report be accepted as presented. May I have a mover?
I'll move that.
Seconder?
I'll second.
Staff updates. BIA coordinator update. Justin.
All in favor.
Oh, sorry. All in favor. I always forget that.
Aye.
It's easy to do.
Thanks for reminding me, Kevin.
I thought
Go
you were
ahead,
just really enthusiastic about my presentation.
Woo!
All right, so I'm just going to briefly go over to start the Spring into the Riverwalk promotion, which concluded on May 21st. We set up different waypoints, 6, over the course of the 2-week period in the downtown area, and people had to seek them out, scan a code, and enter online to be in draws for Prescott Dollars. We had 6 winners for each one of the individual locations. And then we did the grand prize draw for the grand prize winner in the visitor center. Tracy and I live streamed one morning and drew the winner's name. And I believe we ended up with around 80 entrants over the course of the 6 locations. And I think some people got pretty excited about it. The day the visitor center opened, the visitor center was one of the locations, and there was a woman waiting outside during the grand opening because she had recognized the photo online and she needed to get in to find her clue. So that was pretty fun. The summer passport. So I'm going to share with you the design on the screen for the summer passport. So we got these in today. We got all the passports in. This is the front and the back. We'll have people, we're going to be reaching out and visiting businesses this week to sign up as taste, shop, or explore businesses. The explore is more going to be experiences like the fort, the visitor center, different spots around town. And then the shop and taste will be stores and restaurants. People will get a stamp similar to the Christmas passport when they visit and buy, have a meal at a taste restaurant, when they shop in a store or visit that experience, and we'll be able to enter the weekly draws as well as a grand prize draw at the end of the summer. So we'll also be running advertisements on the radio for that, as well as getting some marketing materials that will be going up in the window here. And all our passports and stamps are now sitting behind me in this office. So we're all ready to go for the summer of the passport. Promenade update. So for July 1st, we've confirmed, I believe now 10 vendors for a farmer's market, as well as Isabel Charbonneau as our entertainer for the farmer's market. So we'll have a special farmer's market on the 1st in the Promenade area. We'll run it from 11 to 3 that day rather than the 9 to 2 as part of the Canada Day activities. We're still confirming a couple other activities for the 2nd and 3rd, but we should have those lined up this week. We have all the furnishings ready to go. Our banner is, well, I believe it's no longer sitting in a box here, but our big banner is in, and we've come up with some ideas to sort of make the south end look a little more appealing, since there's less of a need for very large barriers there versus the King Street portion. So I think it will be a pretty fun space for that long weekend. More general updates. We have our new business friendly bike district bike welcome center sign up on the front of the museum as of this morning. We've also gotten in specific downtown Prescott, Ontario by bike signage that I'll be distributing to the participating businesses in the next few days. There are stickers. Kevin got his today and it's up on his store, but just window decals similar to the Ontario by bike signage that they distribute, but that's specifically branded to downtown Prescott. So that will be going out this week as well. Oh, we also received the service business mini pop-up banners. They're boxed behind me as well, so we'll be able to get those out hopefully by the end of the week. And they are looking pretty fun, if I say so myself.
That's great. Are you able to take one out of the box to show us?
I can.
Oh, even the dog's excited.
Exactly.
Wow.
He loves pop-up banners. Like nothing makes him happier.
I'm
Rock
very,
banners.
very glad I exerted myself to lug that big box down to the visitor center today. I was kicking myself for not getting the delivery right to the visitor center when it arrived with 7,000 passports and
Oh,
15,
boo.
15 banners.
Oh my goodness.
It was Christmas today at Town of Prescott.
Ooh.
Ooh, pretty,
Ooh.
pretty.
Ooh,
Oh, those are
We're
nice.
really
distributing those to
nice.
the service businesses, and the code scans into
There's Cheryl.
the Riverwalk District 2 website.
Tell
Those
Kevin
look
I saw
great.
Cheryl and I say hi.
I just
Yeah.
told her, I said, they can see you.
So I don't know if you guys have seen these, but these are identical to the full-size banners. They're just like these little mini tabletop banners. They're adorable. I think you'll really like them, and they'll be, you know, right front and center as people come into the different service businesses.
That looks great. Just wondering, Justin, how's the traffic at the museum?
It's pretty good, actually. I mean, it's still early in the season, but there's generally, I would say, 6 to 8 people just stopping in, even on a Tuesday. Had quite a few people seem to come in today. So that, I mean, it seems that people are moving into it. We also have a new sign out front, so I think that's drawing some more people in, an A-frame sign out front. But they seem to be quite busy up there.
That's really good.
And if you're by, our digital Main Street coordinator, Elizabeth, redid the visitor center side of the window today, and it looks absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
We're pretty happy with that. We've got our summer passport signage will be going into the window in the next couple of weeks too.
Nice.
And just to build off just what Justin had mentioned, we've seen quite a few people on, especially on the Saturdays, just being there at the farmers market. It seems to be getting quite a bit of activity, and we're really actively promoting it to anyone who comes through the market as well.
That's really good. Really good. Kevin, did you have something to?
Yeah, I just had a quick question about the promenade. So the market's going to run till 3, you said. Is there anything going on after that? That day?
Well, after that day, I believe O'Heafy's will be playing some pretty boisterous music, I would assume, for
Boisterous
Canada Day.
music.
So I
Alright.
don't know how much we can do outside, but we can. I mean, it'll still be furnished. It'll still be open as a public space. We'll still have signage and drawing people through it. But as it stands now, no, there wouldn't be any additional entertainment.
Okay, no, I was just checking. I didn't. That's what I was kind of wondering. I didn't know if O'Heafy's was taking advantage of the day or not. So, no,
Actually,
that's
we're
great.
just to jump in there again. We're going to be meeting with Pierre in the next few days just to confirm exactly what their plans are, and you know, how we can complement each other. And because he was very excited. I know O'Heafy's was extremely excited about the opportunity and really wanted to plan to have some entertainment starting a bit earlier and kind of carrying on throughout the day when we're doing the promenade. So I think it's going to be, you know, like Justin said, a pretty lively place. And really, you know, the intent isn't necessarily to have something going on at every single second of the day. It's also just to create this outdoor public space, right? Kind of like a relaxing space where people happen upon it. They can sit, maybe they're out downtown shopping, and or they, you know, grab an ice cream or a gelato, want to sit down and, you know, just maybe kill some time and then explore other areas of the community. So it's not necessarily going to be, you know, fully active with you know, other things that we're doing, and we're really, we want to ensure that there's lots of opportunities to have that mix where we've got
Yep.
things happening, as well as just kind of leaving it to let it be, you know, just see what happens on its own, and let people make it their own, and hopefully support future installations. Because if it does become a permanent thing, it's certainly not something that we would have, you know, be constantly planning
Oh
different
yeah, you
things
can't
going
have
on.
stuff there all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, the whole intent originally, when basically, I guess the idea fell out of my mouth, was that was the whole point. It was just that connection thing versus
Mhm.
an entertainment place. So no, that's great. I was just checking. I had a feeling with being Canada Day, O'Heafy's would be doing something. So no, that's great.
We're very excited about it. We just ordered some furnishings today and looking at the fence and well, as Justin mentioned, our banner just came in and we're ordering some taller flag banners for the space as well. So it'll be a very nice visual. I think it'll be a real draw for people just to go and sit and relax.
Any questions? No? Okay. Dana, did you want to give us an update?
So I did want to just quickly touch on our digital Main Street program. It is going well. Our digital Main Street coordinator has, we just finalized her new agreement last week. So she's officially with us for the next 2 years, and she's already, working she's very busy coordinating the new digital Main Street program. We've got the DTG grant coming up. That application is open, as well as the, Justin, remind me, what's the name of the other funding program that we're going to be promoting to businesses? CDAP?
Yeah.
I believe.
Yes,
So there's
Canadian
another.
Digital Adaption Program. Yes.
Thank you. Yes, Canadian Digital Adaption Program. So there's another potential fund that's available that I think is also going to be a complement to the Digital Main Street and the Digital Transformation Grant Program that's going to be online very soon. So it's lots of new programs to promote and some new enhancements and opportunities to recruit new as well as former businesses in the program. So really excited about moving forward with that. And I also did want to just take an opportunity to mention the chamber mixer. I'm just going to share my screen quickly here and just bring that up. So just wanted to let members know that we've got the South Grenville Chamber of Commerce has a great series of networking mixers that they're planning for the month of June. And Prescott's event just happens to be taking place this week on Thursday at the golf club at 4 p.m. And I would certainly encourage members to attend this one, as well as to consider attending the upcoming ones on June 23rd and 30th. They're really spreading it out throughout their service area, Augusta, Edwardsburg, Cardinal, and Prescott. And our digital Main Street coordinator, Elizabeth, attended the one last week at Angelo's, and her feedback was great. She thoroughly enjoyed the event. It was an excellent networking opportunity. So really looking forward to the one at the Prescott Golf Club. And we do have Belinda, a member of the chamber here. I'm sure she can probably elaborate much better than I can, but that's just wanted to make sure that members are aware of that. So please take an opportunity to drop in if you can.
So Dana, thank you so much. That was actually on my list to mention. So really what we're trying to do is just let the community know that we're still here, we're reopening, and we have a series of questions that we are asking everyone that attends these networking events, just to ensure that we understand that what we're doing moving forward is viable and directly related to what our members are looking for. So we've had amazing support from the BIA. We've had amazing support from the municipalities that we're domiciled within. So if you can make it to one of our events or all of our events, that would be fantastic. We're really excited just to be able to be out and about in the community and talking to businesses again. And again, it just completely aligns with what the BIA's mandate is. So Dana, thank you so much for bringing that up.
No, thank you. It's great to see some events happening coordinated by the chamber again. It makes me, it's encouraging. And I think it kind of takes me back to some of those pre-pandemic discussions we were having, right? About some partnerships. And yeah, I see lots of opportunities for partnerships down the road.
Agreed.
And that was really it for me. We've got a pretty full agenda. So thanks, Tracy.
Dina, do you have any update on the pop-ups?
Oh, certainly, yes.
I saw two of the buildings and I'm like, oh, they look really nice.
Yes, so they actually arrived on site last week. We're starting with 2 sheds and there are 4 others under construction as we speak. Ran into a bit of supply inventory issues that we just didn't anticipate. So we were very lucky to be able to source 2 to start, and then we're hoping the rest will arrive a little bit later this summer, possibly even in time to get them filled with some additional vendors. And then we've also got the lighthouse is being offered up as a pop-up space as well. So we've had a pretty good response to the actual pop-ups. We're actually just in the process of finalizing who those vendors are going to be this week. So you should see some public promotions really kick off over the next couple of weeks. And we've got some great marketing and some on-site signage, as well as some directional signage planned for them. And we're planning on painting them. So you will see them change color. They'll go through a bit of a transition now that they are here. As lovely as they are, we really want them to stand out as much as possible and really draw the eye and attract the attention of people that are walking along the waterfront or cycling or driving by on King. And so you'll see them painted in the next couple of weeks, and they'll be going for the remainder of the summer, hopefully right up until the end of October, weather dependent. And then hopefully for next year, you'll just continue to see that grow. And the plan is where we've started to just kind of carry on and keep adding more pop-ups to the north and eventually wrap it around to the east. So we've got kind of like a pop-ups village right in that kind of beautiful open green space area that runs adjacent to the marina and the public parking areas. So we're pretty excited. More details to come in the next couple of weeks, and we'll be able to make those actual public announcements as far as who those vendors are.
Nice.
Awesome. And I'm sure once other people see the 2 working models, there'll be even more interest for next year.
Yeah, I think and we're kind of also exploring a bit of a hybrid too, where, initially we were looking at trying to find vendors to occupy them for the full season. And we've had some really good discussions, and just again, based on some of the expressions of interest that we receive from vendors, we're looking at possibly pivoting, and considering, like I said, some of those hybrid options where we may not, vendors can rotate, or even look at a co-op opportunity where we could have a mix of vendors kind of sharing that space. So there's some really good discussions happening with those vendors that have expressed interest in exploring some of those other opportunities, because I think, there's some good ventures that have come forth, and I would hate to miss out on, bringing them to the forefront just because of the way that we've structured it. So.
That's great. Does anybody have any questions? No, we're all good. Okay. The next agenda item, pole mounted lighting. A recommendation from the beautification committee that the board directs staff to begin production of new summer pole mounted lighting pending council approval of additional funds, colors to be determined at a later date based on production examples. Dana, did you want to show us or discuss? Do you have a picture of what we looked at?
I do, certainly. I can share that with the committee. And I'll zoom out here so you can see the full extent. So just word of warning, this is very much, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Is that coming through? Okay, it's looking a little odd to me. So this is very much just a mock-up of, it's not what the actual, it's just a graphic of what the image will be. The color is not meant to give you any sort of indication. It's really more just look at the actual design itself. And just scrolling down here. Oh, and this is not, I'm sorry, this is not the most recent design. We're missing the wave feature. Bear with me here. I think this is it. Yes, here we go. Okay, so this is the design. So essentially it was modeled really to look like the Rotary Lighthouse. So hopefully you will see some resemblances there. That's the red and white lighthouse that's on Water Street. So you'll see kind of the upper area with the panes of glass designed to be, again, very similar to the lighthouse, kind of trying to depict that outer walkway area, very similar shape to the door and the upper window. It's, as far as level of detail, that's about as detailed as we can get it. They'll be 5 feet in height, about 2 feet in width, which is about the same dimensions as the banners that we have. So the BIA banners, the snowflake banners, it would be very similar in size to those, just so you can get a sense of what kind of impact it would actually have on the poles themselves. And as far as color options, that's really what we were debating. This is just meant to give a sense of something that's lit. It's by no means what the color would be. And then we had some good discussion at the last meeting about, the possibility of getting the frame constructed first and then maybe playing around with some color options. We could go with just like a one monotone. This is really kind of meant to represent that cool LED white that we have for like the snowflakes, that very almost like a bluish white light. So we could go with that. We could go with a warmer, almost like a yellow kind of gold, that warmer light, or we could go with the multicolor. We could go with more of the white LED for the body and play around with maybe some red for the upper area to kind of give a nod more to the Rotary Lighthouse. We could go all of the white LED for the entire lighthouse and then go with a deeper, darker blue for the actual wave feature at the bottom, just to kind of give that, to really depict, the sense of that wave action there. So it's really up to the committee, but I did talk to the sign, not the sign company, the lighting company, and they are definitely amenable to that option, constructing the frame first, and then they could test out some lights in the warehouse, send the committee pictures, and then they could make their final selection as far as what lighting option we wanted to go with from there. Then they would finish lighting the rest of them and ship them out to us. So as far as production, these could be produced in time to get them up for this this fall. If we got the order in relatively quick, takes about 8 to 12 weeks for production. This is a pretty good time because they're not in their Christmas season. If we look at putting an order in the fall, then we're running into potential production delays and may even run into 2023, which it would be fine, of course, because our Christmas lights will go up throughout generally, late November right up until February. So I would suggest personally get them into production and then look at installing them for the spring of 2023.
Okay, and Dana, could you give us a sense of the cost involved?
And so it was $1,200 per fixture, which is very much in line with what you would pay to just buy a stock fixture from one of their catalogs. So it's certainly no more, expensive to go with this custom option, as long as you're producing a large enough quantity, which if we're looking at 14, that would meet their quantity requirements and keep it at, a fairly reasonable industry standard cost.
Okay, and then in our recommendation too, we've also added pending council approval of additional funds. So I think we were kind of hoping for a 50-50 with the town as a partner.
I think that's generally the way that we've been going with most of these projects. If you look back at the street furnishings, that was very much a 50-50 split. It's something obviously that is in the town's interest to be actively, working to revitalize and beautify the downtown core. So I would have no doubt that council would, probably be prepared to support this. Again, that's where I would suggest probably 2023 might be the better approach, because of course, their budget is certainly finalized and pretty much accounted for this year.
Okay.
And then you've got your new council coming in, but we could take it to council and at least get it approved for the 2023 budget.
Would they hold the current pricing to 2023?
They would see, we'd have to get the order in essentially now. So I actually, yeah, and that was error on my part because it wouldn't be the 2023 because we'd have to get the order in now. So it'd be 2022.
Right.
But just looking at
So-
the economic development budget, I'm quite sure that we can find some funding in there, and there may be the possibility of tapping into some other third-party funding sources that the town has. Possibly modernization funds. Again, just speculating. I'd have to run that by our CAO.
Mhm.
But I believe
Okay.
there's an appetite from the council members that do sit around the BIA board.
So I guess, sorry, Kevin, go ahead.
Is there any added cost for the color, Dana, or is it?
No,
That's okay. So that's just a
No.
blanket. Okay.
it would all be it's regardless of same price, regardless of color choice. Or going with multiple colors.
Okay. Linda, what do you think about how does that fit in with our budget?
Well, I just did a quick calculation. So approximately would come in at 16,800. Is that kind of? I don't have my
Yep,
calculator.
That's
with
the
me,
number
so-
I had, Belinda.
That's right.
Okay, plus taxes.
Yep, you would have your tax on top of that. There would be some shipping as well, to
Stupid
factor
tax.
into that, but I'm sure the town could likely eat the shipping cost. And as far as tax, we really don't, you don't have to factor tax in per se, the way that we're structured as
Okay.
a corporation. At the end
Okay.
of the day, it works out to us paying a very minimal portion of HST, so.
So Dana,
So
Sorry.
if we say ballpark $9,000, we've still got $12,290.81 in reserve. So we could do it. I
in
like
reserve, do you mean, Linda, sorry, do you mean like with our budget right now, like not the reserves?
so well we've got $9,000. Well, we've got $9,000 for marketing and promotion. So if we were to proceed with this, I think we have to kind of take a look at, we may be able to put some of that into marketing and promotion, but from a worst case scenario, we would be able to cover it all through reserve. Just because we do have a number of things coming up in the next year. I'm just looking at the listing that I got earlier, the rack card, shopping bags, farmers market, website and domain, turkey trot campaign, stage at the farmers market, holiday market, rediscover the Riverwalk shop, local campaign. We've got a lot of things coming up. So I think if we're looking at a capital expenditure of $9,000, we really have to consider, are we willing to, on a worst case scenario, put it through the reserve? We may have some space available, but we do have a lot going on. And again, I think we have to think too, this is more of a long-term.
Investment.
Exactly. This is like a one-time thing. The $9,000 that's in our budget is really ongoing events, ongoing things, but this is really more of a capital expenditure, one-time thing. So I think we have to think of it from both perspectives, a worst case scenario and a best case scenario. We may have some money left at the end of the year out of that $9,000, but if we don't, are we willing to fund it entirely out of our reserve?
And then there'll be some beautification money too, right?
Yeah, you should be pulling from that.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry, for beautification, we have 10,000 as well.
I guess one thing we have to consider is, do we want to commit to this with the new BIA coming in? Is it something that we want to commit to now? And I was kind of thinking it might be good if, I mean, yes, reserves could be another resort, but even if we could do at least half with our budget and not have more than half come from reserves.
No,
Just because, you know, yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
And
completely
maybe-
valid point. We could float it all through beautification.
Yeah.
But that would be the majority of our commitment for this year.
Yeah, for sure.
I do like the idea of having a consistent year-round lighting display. And if we, depending on what it looks like, if we had a consistent color code or presentation, I think that would be very powerful. Simply because people would know that there's these, these beautiful lights that are coming around regardless of the season. I think that is really something interesting to consider.
I just ask, I think last year we had said we were going to put more money into more of the Christmas lights. Add more lights this year. But how would that
I
be?
remember, like, we had talked about that one banner coming down over the overpass, right? The banner that was gonna welcome people.
That,
to-
and I thought we had said we were going to add more Christmas lights to
Just the
the
pole
ones that
lights.
to the ones that we had already had.
So just to chime in there, I'm just gonna throw it out there. I would suggest maybe, like, looking back, maybe you want to take a look this December once you see the lights go back up. I would almost caution the board. Once they were up, I think they were very tasteful, every second or third pole. And I would worry if you did start to add more within that same, area, maybe it's something that we could look at carrying out up Edward Street. Maybe that's a town-led project, but I would worry about potential light pollution. If you do get into adding 2 more, I think it was kind of just enough as it was. Now, again, I could be dead wrong. And if the board, is very much disagrees and thinks that more lights the better, then absolutely that's your decision. But that's the feedback that I will say we've been getting from a town perspective, whether it be, other property owners, just the general public, members of council. That tends to be the feedback that we're getting, is it's just enough, and any additional would probably be too much.
I think I agree with Dana, because also the team that does it does such a beautiful job of the lights and the trees as well. Right? So if you're
But we
looking
weren't-
down this,
Sorry, we weren't going to do lights in the trees though this year, were we? I thought
I
that
think they're taking them down, I think.
yeah.
So they are, from what I understand, once the new street trees go back in, the more like planter street trees, I believe they are exploring some new lighting options for those. They're just kind of in the process of installing those this year. So I don't think that notion is out completely. I think they'll look at something definitely different from what we have today, certainly. But you're right, Don. Right now, as we stand, no, those street tree lights will be gone, potentially to be replaced with something else.
And I don't really care whether we have more lights or not. I just wanted to remind people that was the discussion we'd had before, that you'd continue to add them.
I think where we were going with that is that was the thought of it was adding more, and to see what happened when we got the new ones in. And I think there was conversation at one point too with town about the possibility of town, like Dana said, like something going up Edward Street or even into the parks and beyond our area. I don't know where that goes, but I think that was kind of the intent behind that. And I do agree in the same thing, that I think it might be too much once everything was up. But that being said, I think the all year round thing is a little more uniform, and I think we should. I support doing it. We just have to figure out the financial side of it. So,
Dana, just for clarity, for my brain even today, our financial, when we order, obviously, is it cash on delivery? Is it half up front? Like, how does that work? Do you know?
Yeah, it's generally cash on delivery. We've worked
Okay.
with this provider in the past, so they don't generally require a significant deposit.
Right. And then we have to think about the timeline with council approving, right?
Mhm.
So,
I would say there's that risk of strike while the iron's hot, right? I think you've got the momentum now where I do see there being an appetite, at least from the board council members that sit around this table. I think there's an appetite on the part of the board. I think it's something we've certainly been discussing for, I say the past 2 or 3 years. I think we've just been casually, coming every once in a while, we'll come back to this discussion. And I would say, if you do decide to wait, there is that potential that,
Mhm.
you could have a completely new board, you could have a completely new council, not completely, but you could have
Yeah.
significant changes, right? We don't know.
Mhm.
There's a lot of time for people to throw their hats in the ring, so to speak. So it's really hard to say. And it would be upsetting to see a good project lose momentum when I think it's something that we've certainly been discussing for some time. And I think there's an appetite. And I think, the board does represent a good cross section of downtown businesses.
okay, so let me ask everybody, is everybody happy with the design? Any concerns with the design? Everybody like it?
Yes.
I like the design.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
So everybody's good with the
we give
design?
credit to Leslie for it, even though she's not here.
Okay, so that's good. So everybody's okay with the design. The next thing is, well, we should put that $9,000 into the motion. And put a specific dollar amount in there. And then we're all okay with committing. I'll read the recommendation again, and I'll put the $9,000 in. So that the board directs staff to begin production of new summer pole mounted lighting pending council approval of, should we say, splitting the cost of same instead of additional funds? Do we want to say splitting the cost with the town?
Approval of
partner?
matching funds.
Matching funds with the town of Prescott.
Estimated.
How do I say, earmark that $9,000 for the BIA contribution? Somehow we'll put that in there. So to spend no more than 9,000? Is that,
You just have to figure out where it's coming from.
so,
Do we have to define exactly where it's coming from?
Not for the
or-
motion.
Okay,
Not in the
so,
motion, no?
you know,
Well, I should correct
Well-
myself. If it's gonna be a reserve
yeah,
allocate,
have
then
to.
yes. If it's just coming out of your regular budget, then it would just be.
yeah, so
real-
we do have the budget for it. If there's something else that comes up, we could consider the reserve.
So for now, let's say that it's going to come out of the beautification budget, which of course will almost put us at $1,000 left over.
Yep.
But I think having said that, if we're not going to do Christmas, like more Christmas decorations, the town decorates for Christmas as well. So quite possibly there's not a whole lot more we would need for beautification unless somebody, what do you guys think?
Did Matthew or Dana? I was just about to call you Matthew. I remember Matthew saying one time they were looking at the pole lights for Christmas as well. That's still going with them though, right? That's something they're like the pole, the wrap
Yes,
lights.
yes.
Okay.
So that is something that they are gonna be installing this year, will be the pole wrap lights. And, I think really for the holiday lighting, if I do recall, I think that's where the board kind of pivoted from doing more pole mount lights to maybe going with the street line banner. And if we are going with the street line banner, I can tell you, based on the promenade and our attempts to install a street line banner for that, there's a lot of factors that would need to be considered as part of that, and a significant expense, because we would have to look at having dedicated poles installed to accommodate that banner. You can't attach these banners to regular hydro standards, that have lights. they really do have to be dedicated poles is something that we've learned over the past few weeks. So I wouldn't anticipate it's something that you could do this year. So holiday lighting, could be a 2023 thing. And I don't think, to Tracy's point, that you'd be jeopardizing your beautification, because I really don't think there's going to be an option to explore the street line banner for 2022.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll try one more time. That the board directs staff to begin production of new summer pole-mounted lighting, pending council approving matching funds at a total BIA contribution of $9,000 coming from the beautification portion of our 2022 budget. Could I have a mover?
I will.
Move.
Okay, Linda. Could I have a seconder?
Hello.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Arr.
I remembered the all in favor, by the way. Just thought I'd throw that out there. Next on our agenda, Riverwalk District East-West connections. Did you want to talk about that, Justin?
Sure. So this is more just a general discussion item that could be moved to promotions or beautification committee, but we sort of wanted to put it on the agenda here tonight. So a few weeks ago, we stopped into Dawn's actually, and she mentioned the idea of how could we better connect sort of the east end of the Riverwalk district to the more central downtown, and just be sure that people knew that the area continued on, that the downtown continued on all the way down through 1 to 426 down to Catarinas. And so we've been thinking about some ideas for that, and just some things ranging from some basic ideas such as decals we could put directly on the sidewalk denoting the Riverwalk district, and then it continues in these directions. Could go on upwards to other signage options running through there, but just more the general idea of finding better ways to ensure that people know that, the district continues beyond those two core downtown blocks. So if anyone had any general ideas, or if this was something we wanted to move to one of the two committees, but I think that it's a really good idea to sort of look at how we can just encapsulate the whole area with a little bit of almost a basic, perhaps there will be a more thorough wayfinding strategy coming forward, but sort of simple ways that we can look at connecting the whole area and ensure that people know that it's a contiguous area running the whole way through there and what's available everywhere.
I think that's a really good point, because we're always talking about Water Street to King, and then getting people downtown from up north, but we also have to consider that it goes the other way too.
Especially with that great water park and the new kayak docking station and the pool and the beach. I think it's,
Yes.
but often people will come in and they've come from the beach and they don't really know what's at the other end where the marina is. And I think it's true in the reverse, right? If you started at one end, you don't really know what else is here along the way.
Mhm.
And I think Dana had talked about seeing decals on the sidewalk, because we already have so many things in the air and on the posts and people are driving. But for people who are walking or biking, something down lower would stand out, I think, a bit more, because there's nothing else there.
And-
From our perspective, like, this was music to my ears, this idea, Dawn. It's something that we've been trying to, I guess, address bit by bit, right? Even with the Christmas lights, and up until that last year when we brought the new Christmas lights, and a lot of even the decor and the improvements and the beautification are really concentrated even, to that 2-block kind of core area of the downtown. And that really doesn't even encompass the full BIA. And I think, anything that we can do to really try and create that cohesive downtown feel and really make those true connections between the east ends and the west ends. And, we've got a lot of physical obstacles to overcome between the Coast Guard and just a long expanse where you don't have a lot of commercial development, right? So it's hard to make that leap. So I think, these sidewalk decals could be perfect. I was talking to a local sign company recently who installed the mural at the new visitor center. And we were actually looking at another project covering light post bases. And they had mentioned at that time that there's actually a material by 3M that can be placed. It's for indoor or outdoor, and it can be placed directly on sidewalks, full color, non-slip, and it will actually hold up to plowing, weather, snowing, rain, and has a pretty, significant lifespan. So I think that's something we could certainly explore, and it would, again, just really add a pop of color and add some of that directional kind of signage to give people that that heads up that they are in the downtown and to carry on and explore more.
Well, we see it, we know everything that's going on, so I don't think it's for us, but I did have somebody come in and say, I just wish there was a place for my like a splash pad for my child. I came here from Ottawa, and I'm like, well, there is, it's just over there.
That way.
Like, just keep going. But you don't know what you don't know, and they're really, I think, again, the marina is there, and we're gonna have those pop-up shops, but I mean, not everybody's going to stop to scan something. Some people aren't going to do that, but I just think there's got to be some way without us telling each individual person that they can kind of like, so they stay in town longer and spend, their time here and frequent our shops and everything, or I'll have people come in here and say, do you know where a good cafe is? And I'm like, well, you can see it from here, so just keep walking, right? Or we have another one. I kind of tell them where everything is, but there's just got to be another way of them just finding that while they're out walking around.
Well, I like the idea of making them very specific when it comes to attractions. As Justin mentioned, we're exploring a broader wayfinding program that's going to involve the installation of your more traditional kind of directional signage in the downtown. And that will also be made available to businesses to purchase their own signage if they're looking to direct more traffic to their locations. And, as well as other non-town attractions such as the fort, things of that nature. But I really love the idea of actually using these decals as a way to promote some of those attractions, like whether it be Kelly's Beach, 75 steps or whatever it is, but to really have that suggestive content as part of it and be promoting those attractions. You could have one for the fort, one and even open it up to different businesses that maybe want to explore that option as well.
Well, and I think that's a good point. And I'm a perfect example of, I really have nothing outside that says what I have in here. And people wander and say, I don't know what's here. So I thought I would drop in. So it would be perfect to have something that's cohesive with everybody else that says that it's what it is on the outside.
Well, what do you find when people come in? Do you find that they kind of know there's more down the other way?
No, I find that they have no idea. They've stopped probably for one thing, one reason, and now they're looking for something else to do, but they don't know what's here. And we have the brochures here, which is good, but I think often it's just telling them what's around, right? But again, how many people aren't stopping to ask somebody? There's all those other people that we're kind of missing, but especially, and even pointing to the businesses that are in, that aren't downtown. I think that's important too. I'm often sending people to Portolano or, but if there's that many people stopping to ask me, then there's a need for it, I think. And again, even for myself, I should have something outside that says I'm a store of some kind, right? And I don't have anything. So I think it's just that natural need that people, if they saw something like a coffee cup and an arrow, they're going to get the message pretty quick. It doesn't have to be too much, but I just think just something that, or even maybe in the West End, you advertise the East End, and the East End, you advertise the West End to just keep people here longer. And it's, again, if you're going to come from Ottawa, you don't want to go to one thing and stop. You want to go to a bunch of things and see what's around.
I also kind of like the idea of more of like an icon base, kind of like a nod to our summer passport. Oh my gosh, Dustin, did I
I was
just
just
steal your
writing that
thunder?
down in the notes here because I was
Sorry, you
thinking
go.
you could use those shop, taste, explore icons
Yes.
Yeah,
to direct people towards what's, you know, what they can find in those directions. There might be a way to work that all in together.
whether it be an attraction or an experience or food or shopping.
And like somehow, and have it like at the visitor center, something.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah,
Because
So-
more, you'll see a lot of people stop in there, like when I go somewhere and I see a visitor center, you know,
You're stopped.
that's probably a good place to start to see what, you know.
Or maybe a
Basically.
mural with one of those maps like you find at the shopping center where it has just a bigger version of you are here. And yeah, I don't know. I mean,
so
I think
that
we've
was
done a
actually
lot of
the
good
original
things.
vision for the
Yeah, Jen,
visitor center.
I was just gonna say, we've been talking about that map.
Mhm. It's in production. It's literally,
Okay.
it just wasn't going to be ready in time to put, but now I'm thinking like once that map is done, we could incorporate that icon program.
Well, and that's
Right within
exactly
it,
what I was
like-
thinking, because if
Yeah.
they're looking at this map, they can then see the icons
Mhm.
to kind of like, so they have an idea that they have to go this direction, but they can
Yes.
actually follow it.
Yeah.
And sorry, just the distributor or the producer that you were manufacturer that you were talking to, how long do they last? Do they last for a year, 2 years, 5 years?
So he was suggesting like 3 to 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah, so pretty significant, and that's through, you know, a multi-year round, all seasons, a true Canadian climate. And I don't know expense, right? But it's something that we could certainly explore and bring more information back to the committee, just so you know, you can confirm whether it's something that's even feasible. And again, I would definitely be suggesting this is something that economic development would love to partner on with the BIA. So I would certainly be proposing a matching expense arrangement again.
Nicole, did you have anything to add? Because you're one of those businesses that are west. We can't hear you.
Oh, you're not, yeah, you're,
Can you hear me now?
yes.
Yeah, so I was saying on this end too, we get the same feedback of what's on the other end of town. And I was even looking just on Google now. The decals are a great idea, but like, what about more of like a permanent? You know how in like Merrickville and other towns they have like an arrow, so it's like a post and different arrows that say like one set 426 or Katarina's, and then the other way. But it's more of a permanent, so I don't know if that's even feasible.
So that's the wayfinding strategy that I mentioned, Nicole. That's exactly what we're doing. Yeah, it's going to be like permanent signs. Yeah, so they're directional signs and they're actual permanent signs with the arrows. And then they would be for attractions, town attractions, private attractions, and then we would actually offer them up to businesses to purchase as well. I've seen them done. I would say Gananoque does a really tasteful version that I personally really like. And but yeah, that's I think exactly what you're describing, Nicole, is where we're going.
But I think the decals are really good with if you putting it in line with the passport, because it's like more communication for someone who's never been here to see that, oh, that's a cafe or that's a shop. And yeah, no, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to go with the map, if there's maps everywhere and we can hand them out, we can say you can go to this place and this place and this place, and it's easier, more convenient for everyone.
And whenever we scan our phone on the pole wraps where does that scan take us to? To the website?
Yeah, so it takes you to the shop
Okay.
local page of the website on the river, there's two different ones. So we have one that's the Explore, and that actually takes you to the Explore website. And then we have the Riverwalk one, and that takes you to the downtown Prescott.
Okay. So because I think sometimes we forget that we still have those, that we have the pole wraps too for direction.
But not everybody, like I just learned how to do that
Yeah.
a few months ago, right?
Yeah,
And it's not necessarily intuitive for the people that don't do that already.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
it's fine for younger people,
Yeah.
I'm sure, but for somebody my age or older, some of them don't even have phones, right? And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
to have them to think, like, my first thought was when I saw one is, well, what am I, not ours, but before, how do I even, what do I use to scan
is
that
it?
with,
Yeah.
right? Like, I had no idea. So there has to be some sort of old tech along with the new tech to
Mhm.
match it up.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point.
Well,
Yeah,
I
I
think
get-
that's why those visual cues. Sorry, Nicole, you go.
Sorry, I have the QR code like right in front of our shop too. It's like I do it and it's great, but a lot of people ask me if it's a bus stop. And I
Yeah.
tell them like it's not a bus stop, it's you. And then they understand, but at first they think it's a bus stop. So I tell them, don't wait there. Yeah.
No one's coming for you.
Yeah.
Well, maybe even, I don't know, maybe in the visitor center or something, we could have a little something about the pole wraps, like what they're designed to be or what they're designed to do. You know,
I don't know. I think it's just one of those things, the people that know, and are going to be fine with it. And the rest of us are just going to be clueless for a couple more years until we figured out what to do with these things.
And
Okay.
it
'Cause they
is,
are
I won't
everywhere.
lie to you, it's a great suggestion, Tracy, and it is something that's been on our to-do list for a little while now, is even just doing like a demo
Yeah,
video. And now that Elizabeth has proven herself to be so savvy when it comes
A
to
TikTok.
creating these
A TikTok demo.
TikTok
Yeah.
videos, maybe it's
Yeah.
a great little TikTok. She could incorporate
Yeah.
that into one of her Explore TikToks.
yeah, like she could be a visitor and
Yeah,
then take
be the guinea pig.
phone and,
You
Yeah.
can drag me along and show me how to do things.
yeah. Oh, did anybody else have anything? I think what we should do though is for sure keep it on our promotions committee agenda. And did anybody want to add anything else further tonight, or should we move along? We're
Move along.
good?
Yeah.
Evan? Okay. Member recruitment. So it's kind of like we have the new board, like we need people to run for the new board, obviously, too. So we have to start drumming up some interest in the BIA board. So we'll have to, should we start up the recruitment committee again? What's everybody's thoughts?
Probably doesn't hurt to just post to social media that we're looking for people. That's probably the easiest thing to do, really.
Can
Like a
we
reminder.
interrupt again? I'll pass it over to Justin, actually, I think. But we did consult internally as far as recruitment, and Justin does have an update, I'm sure, just for potential consideration you might want to look at before you make any decisions.
So essentially, the other boards that function as boards of council try to align their terms with the council terms as directly as possible. So they'll be putting out a call for members in September with the intent to have those members in place to be approved by the new council when it first sits. So that would be a good opportunity to line up that and have a little bit of a recruitment drive, get potential new members, get a full board or more people who want to run, and B, sort of makes the idea of recruiting new members for this particular board perhaps moot, because there'll only be 2 more meetings before the start of that recruitment, or 4 more meetings before a new board could be elected. So that could be a potential path to go on and sort of ensure that we have quorum over these last 3 or 4 meetings, which could be difficult in the summer, but just make sure we have that number, that if we're at 7 members, that would be 4 members would need to attend, and look at that recruitment towards people running for the next term of the board.
Right. That sounds pretty reasonable.
That makes sense.
Did we ever
Like-
find out why we do it when we did?
So it was basically you were in a situation where it was kind of dire straits, right? You were
Yeah.
actually running into problems being able to function due to quorum issues. So, and in each one, we've had, I believe the PAC has replaced their members a couple of times since council, the previous term of council was elected, and that happens, and you replace and you recruit as needed, but there's always that process that at the commencement of a new term of council, all those boards are automatically reelected. And that's not to say that we couldn't have the exact same roster of members come back in, right? But it does need to go through that formality. If it's happening anyways, come September, couldn't hurt to just let the town, manage that process on behalf of the board. Board can still promote the opportunity. And I would suggest, maybe also just kind of put the members on notice, right? That this is coming. And if you are talking to fellow businesses and, just to put it out there and do a little bit of pre-recruitment to subtly encourage people to consider it when the opportunity does come in September.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't mean stop recruiting potential new members. It's just more looking at the timeline and utility of going, because I think, well, everyone probably remembers the sort of dragged out timeline to get Nicole and Dawn appointed. I believe it took us 2 or 3 full meetings to go through that entire process.
Mm-hmm.
So just the process of adding new members can take a bit of time in and of itself.
So would we theoretically have our elections for the next board in October? Yes.
Mhm.
Is this common practice with other BIAs?
Yeah, all other municipalities, most municipalities, because the BIA is a board of council, most municipalities every
Yep.
term will re-elect their boards. And as I said, a lot of times it can be the same members and just going through that formality, right? But it does need to be re-elected every 4 years, coinciding with a new term of council. It's something the municipalities are mandated to do by the Municipal Act. And if they do so happen to have a BIA, then that BIA is subjected to that same process.
Okay, so should we direct staff then to put a call out for members in September? Is everybody good with that?
Yep.
So can we direct you, Justin, to do that for us?
I can't hear you,
Want
Tracy.
to add a little caveat as part of the town's broader board member recruitment process.
Okay, so we'll direct staff to put a call out for members in September with a view to elections being held, in late October, November? You want to have it at the same time as the same time frame as the council, October 24th, like the end of October?
So it would
Is
be
that
a
what-
bit of a different process. Tracy, we can consult our director of administration and follow up with you, the board, to confirm
Thank-
exactly
yeah.
what the process is. I wouldn't want to speak out of turn now because I don't believe, and I just can't recall because it has been some time since the last term, exactly how
yeah.
that process works, but we can certainly advise if there's interest on the part of BIA and just aligning with the town's regular proceedings.
I remember with the last one, we had to get up and speak, and then the membership voted.
And I can't recall if that was actually done as part of an AGM.
No, it was a separate.
It was separate, okay.
I think the
Okay.
initial plan was supposed to be an AGM, but that's when town was rewriting the bylaws and
Right, so we just
All
fell
that
in line
stuff.
with the council term. Okay, well, we'll confirm and verify. But yeah, I would definitely be prepared to, you would go through that similar process, right? Where members
Yes.
would be have an opportunity to nominate or self-nominate, and then that would go before through a formal election process.
So, Justin, we'll ask you to put a call out for members then, and then look at maybe, I don't know if you want to check with the CAO on doing the 4-year term and how that looks.
Sounds good.
Okay. Next, the Joanne Crack Memorial plaque. Samantha had forwarded me some wording, and I was looking for feedback from the other members of the board. Do you have that wording, Justin? Or could you pull it up for us? I should have had it. I apologize.
I do. It might take me a second to pull it up here. Okay, so the wording was, in memory of Joanne Crack and her love of watching the ships pass by.
Kevin, I know you were really interested in getting that done. What do you think of that?
It lacks something to me. I don't know what it is.
I think it makes her too little.
Thank you. Yeah. I also enjoy watching ships go by. But her passion was 10 times what mine is. Has there been communication? I know there has been previous communications with her daughter, I believe. That was, I know Matthew had spoken with her. Not that I'm bashing anybody's words, but I don't know.
No,
maybe
but yeah, we're looking for feedback, so that's why, that's great. That's what we.
yeah, no,
want.
I'm just thinking, no, it's a starting spot. I'm just wondering if maybe you might want to get a statement from either maybe her daughter or I don't know if anybody knows. I think is it Marty? She was good friends with Joanne. I don't know if maybe something from them might be more suiting.
I know her daughters, if that helps at all.
Well, I think that's who Matthew spoke with after I started it going, and they reached out and they were communicating. So I don't know. Yeah, something with a little more depth to it would be good, though. Sorry, that I'm rambling.
Dawn, did you want to maybe send me her daughter's contact information, because it was Samantha from the town that was working on it, and then maybe we can connect them.
Okay, so I'll get that and get it to you.
Thank you. Did anybody else want to add anything to that? I think what we'll do is just follow that up, unless somebody else had something to add.
I apologize if I sounded really negative about that. I apologize.
Okay, so we'll follow up with that. Next on the agenda, the BIA Pride Initiative. Justin, did you want to?
All right, so last week, a couple downtown businesses messaged me wanting pride flags for their windows. So I mentioned to Tracy that perhaps it could be something that the BIA could just do as for this year, a sort of quick initiative to make sure everyone has the opportunity to show support. And then perhaps next year, look at something a little more permanent for the month compared to now. But there is half of Pride Month left. So because people had been looking for flags, one of the ideas, or the idea that we had, was to put together a pride flag with the BIA Riverwalk logo on it. that could be distributed to the businesses that are interested in having them. Tomorrow, we can get them out, which will leave half the month left for that. And I believe that it would be especially considering the town's own pride flag raising last week, would be a positive gesture, an inclusive gesture to get those up downtown for the businesses that would like them in a more cohesive fashion than people messaging me looking for a pride flag.
So I love the idea. How much would that cost?
$0. We're producing them in-house. They're already here. We're good to go for them.
So of
Staff
course,
time.
let's do it. Done.
So we'll
Yeah.
see you tomorrow.
Gotta love the $0 stuff.
I think that's really important. And that sounds like a great idea, Justin.
So how would we let people or businesses know that this is an option? Because yes, some businesses reached out to you, and that's amazing and proactive, but I'm sure there's a lot of businesses that may not have reached out that would love to do that as well. Like, so I know BMO, like, we've designated June as Pride Month. So I didn't reach out to you, but I'm pretty sure we would be comfortable promoting that with a flag. So how do we get it out there to the community?
Elizabeth and I are planning to just deliver them to businesses and see who wants to take one.
Cool. Love it.
One question we did, if I can just quickly get the opinion of the board, are there any concerns with us adding the logo to the flag? We just wanted to get a bit of feedback from that perspective. We don't see anything inappropriate. I've seen others do that. I've seen lots of examples of organizations, towns doing that, but that was kind of the one hesitation that we did want to run by the board and just kind of get your feedback. Any concerns with adding our logo to the actual flag?
I personally think it's okay. I know that the flags that BMO's doing internally and on our website and everywhere they're sending it out. I think it's not trying to take anything away. It's showing that we take responsibility and we are promoting this, and we're proud to promote this.
And that was our perspective too, Belinda. Thank you.
I think if you leave the logo off, it's kind of insulting. That's just my opinion. You're not out there proud saying yes.
Willing to own it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's my opinion.
So when you refer to the logo, do you mean the BIA specific logo or the Explore Prescott?
The Riverwalk District.
The
The
Riverwalk
Riverwalk District. Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's, I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, so basically, if anyone else has a problem with it, that's their problem. It's what it's about. Like, I mean, if people have a problem with it, you're going to find people who don't like it, but
certainly.
that's their issue.
But I think it's just always good to have that broader group,
Totally.
No, you got
sometimes to take a look at it, right?
Yeah, the more people, the better.
Awesome. Well, they look fantastic in person. We're pretty excited about them. And there is one out at the Museum and Visitor Center already.
So, and can I ask for BMO, can we get two, one for retail and one for commercial? That'd be amazing.
and do that.
We definitely want one.
Bring one over.
Okay.
Get your good shoes on.
Gonna be a good walking day tomorrow.
Okay, that's great. Future meeting location. So that just refers to, do we want to stay on Zoom for the summer? Or do we want to meet in person? The only pro that I thought about Zoom for the summer is if somebody was like away from Prescott, that they could still like Zoom in, unless we want to look at a whole hybrid solution. But I don't think there's anything permanently set up at the town hall for in the Ruth Evanson room, is there? To have like a hybrid?
No,
There
it's
isn't really-
certainly, sorry,
We
you go
do
ahead,
to,
Justin.
yeah.
There isn't really a permanent setup that can be used
Yeah.
for.
And then due to the size of our board, it may not make a whole lot of sense to even like undertake a hybrid model. I don't know. What's everybody else think? I'm talking just for July and August right now, because those can be 2 iffy months to get a quorum.
I'd love to see people in person someday.
I would
Same.
too. I really would.
What's everybody else think? Yes? You want to see us in person?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Again, I think every business is going through the same challenge in July and August. People may or may not be around. So I do think it's important that, we are supporting the reopening, and it's showing support for our businesses. They're reopening, we're reopening. Yeah, and I just miss the peeps. Come on.
Sense of normalcy.
Exactly.
Okay, well, our next meeting then will be in person. Then I guess we should consider, like, do we want to have it at a BIA location, or do we want to use the municipal building? Do we want to have it inside, outside? What's everybody think?
Oh, you'll still have, there still will be a requirement to live stream it
Right.
in either effect. So
That's
the
right.
best option would be to have it at town hall.
Okay. That's a really, thank you for reminding me of that, Justin. Okay, so next meeting then we'll have it Ruth Evanson. Everybody good with that?
Yep.
Yay.
All right. Okay.
People.
Okay. Committee roundtable, any new business from members? Kevin?
Yeah, sorry, everyone's gonna hate me. I apologize. I got two quick ones. Some of you may know this, some of you may not. Behind our shop, Forder's Antiques, most of you probably know about it. There is a little gelato truck thing out there doing the gelato thing. Long story short, there are some issues that came up, and it has called attention to the bylaws that surround food vendors, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not going to get into anything about that in particular, but there was some call in regards to BIA being involved in discussions when bylaws are changed, rewritten, especially if they involve our area. So say I think Dana, we've talked briefly about signage bylaws. I know that's being worked on and changes, but about BIA having input into these things. So basically the only thing I'm asking you, I don't know how this would come about, is how BIA gets involved in that process. When not all bylaws in general, just bylaws that encompass the BIA area.
Well, isn't there always supposed to be public notice if a bylaw's being amended, and then they have the readings for same?
I don't know.
I think.
That's correct, Tracy. I will jump in just to confirm that you're 100% correct. When the town does proceed with adopting new bylaws, they definitely go through an opportunity for public review and comment and feedback, especially with bylaws such as signage, zoning bylaw, business licensing bylaws, things of that nature. It certainly couldn't hurt if the BIA had the interest to, pass a motion saying that they have interest in participating in that, any opportunities to do so. But I would say that, with some confidence that the BIA would certainly have an opportunity to provide feedback, as any member of the public would as well.
So my initial concern about that is that if we start involving ourselves in bylaws or making opinions on bylaws that are specific to certain businesses, we could be perceived as showing a bias to one business over another business, or one commercial enterprise over another commercial enterprise.
A bylaw, though, should not be specific to any one business.
But if
So,
we're getting involved, someone has reached out to us specifically to ask us to do something or present a position on their behalf. If it's, this is just my thought, like if it's something that just comes up generically and we have a position on it, that's one thing. But if it's a specific group of people or a specific business coming to us and asking us to act on their behalf or to support something,
Are they our members though? Are they our members of the BIA?
Technically, in a roundabout way, did that example specifically, as a tenant, any commercial tenant would, as part of their rental, their lease fee, portion of that should be going to property taxes, right? Like whatever the owner charges to tenants to lease their space, that property owner ultimately has to pay taxes on their property. So yes, it would certainly be, a BIA member business if they're located within that commercial core area. I would say, to Pelinda's point, bylaws aren't necessarily intended to be directed to a specific business, but they can be very much geared to specific sectors or types of businesses. And that could be a potentially, dangerous waters either way. Perception is everything, right? Does the BIA want to be taking a strong position one way or the other, or being included more as an opportunity, as a public consultation body, like any other member of the general public would have an opportunity to do so? So it
well,
really
I think,
depends, on the approach you want to take.
yeah, well, I think it's more about the general consultation thing. It's not about, well, no, that's really what it is. But I mean, because if there's going to be bylaws set for the downtown that is part of our, such as signage, anything like that, I mean, part of that, those businesses are the businesses that we there are to support. And we as a group, whoever the BIA board may be, I mean, you want to see a standard, right? But I mean, do we just sit back and the bylaws get made and we don't have an opinion? I mean, yeah, we could go as the public.
Opinion as businesses.
Pardon me?
We do have opinions as businesses.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just worried that, like if we get involved in creating or having active involvement in bylaws,
I'm just saying we should have input.
Ties to everything, right? If we are perceived as supporting changes on this side, we're going to upset another business.
I don't really see that. I just feel like if everyone, all these people are members of the BIA through their tax contributions, and they have a sign issue, and we are a group that's looking to support businesses, then we should at least be able to look at the issue, because it may affect more than one business, and the other businesses just haven't spoken about it, don't know about the bylaw. I think there should at least be some way of speaking about it and seeing whether there is something you want to consult on the bylaw about or not, because it may be an issue that affects more than one business. And how would you ever know if we don't at least look at a member's issue?
It's not about us having say, it's about us just having input. We're not the ones sitting back and going to go, no, you can't do that. We're just the ones, that we do get the opportunity to see these bylaws. And if there's input that we can provide, great. If not, great. But I know it's a slippery slope on either side, but
Yeah,
I think-
who are we to judge someone else's sign? Like that there are bylaws that the town has established for certain parameters of signs. And if it falls within those bylaws, who are we to judge on our personal opinions? I may hate a sign, I may love a sign.
no, but I'm saying if a bylaw is to be changed, and which this is probably what is going to happen, the BIA has input and definitely knowledge of it, because it can change how we perceive our downtown to look and or act or in any way like that.
So us having input on it, what does that really mean? Like, can we say, yes, you can have that sign, no, you can't have that sign? What
does-
does
Well,
our,
that's a
what
sorry,
what
Dana.
does our input validate? Like what?
I
So
would
if
say
they're-
from a bylaw consultation perspective, it would be that broader,
Yeah,
the types of signs that, for example, a sign bylaw is going to go through and identify the acceptable types of signs for the commercial core area, for the uptown area, depending on whether areas have been deemed to be distinct and they want to have separate sign policies for those areas. So it would be those broader aspects that you're looking at. And I would suggest, at this point, I would go back, confirm exactly what the consultation plan is for the bylaw and bring that as an update to the BIA. And then maybe, at that point, if the board doesn't feel that that is sufficient or would like some additional, opportunity to participate in that process, then maybe at that point you want to have some further discussion. But I think some of this is speculation at this point, because I haven't received full direction on what that consultation plan is. So, maybe the best approach is, I think we can all recognize that the BIA has some interest in it either way, whether you want to be consulted or not, and maybe let us confirm exactly what that plan is, and then the BIA could so decide from there.
well, I think one thing that I tried to make clear anyway at the AGM is that we're here to communicate with our members. Please approach us. And there is always room on our agenda for delegations and presentations. And we welcome any member to come to us, and definitely we will offer our support where we can. And I think in terms of lawmaking, it has to be a public process. So, even as an individual, maybe not even as a member of the board, you're free to speak up.
Mhm.
Exactly.
And to Tracy's point, that's really what I would anticipate is, the general process. If it is a bylaw that has significant impact on the BIA area, there would be that direct level of consultation where we would come and present it to the BIA in its basic form, and at least obtain some of those initial comments as part of the broader public consultation process.
And I think that's just it right there. Like, this is not about us making laws. Like, that's not our thing. But it is about being involved and being knowledgeable of said changes. Because I just have a feeling that in the past this didn't exist, and we are representing the entire downtown. So,
to your point, yeah, Kevin, it is one of those things. I think the existing bylaw has been on the books since '95, so
Yeah.
it's certainly not something that any recent BIA would ever have been consulted on. And I know, in my knowledge of what bylaws have been passed since my time here, there has generally been consultation of the BIA in that
Yeah.
process. So I'd say you can be rest assured that will happen, Kevin.
yeah.
To what extent, I think really remains to be seen, and how much BIA wants to actually get involved in providing the feedback. That would be your decision at that time. And I will, of course, communicate this conversation to our CAO and express, the fact that there's been interest noted at the BIA, and confirm what that process is going to be.
And I'm relatively new to this team, but I think it's very collaborative. I think there's a lot of communication back and forth. There's a lot of discussion. There's commitment on all sides to make sure that we are all doing what we can to communicate and do everything we can for the downtown core. So I think that's amazing.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I feel so comfortable with that.
And the fact is that economic development, our department, a lot of times is going to have those same, you know,
Mhm.
priorities or concerns that the BIA would as well, and know that we are actively working to support the business community in everything that we do.
Agreed.
Okay, and Kevin, you had another, you said
Oh.
you had two things. What's your
Yeah.
second thing?
And I'm not. I wish I didn't have to bring this one up. What's the deal with the flowers? Am I the only one that doesn't think these baskets of flowers are big baskets of flowers? Okay, maybe I am the only one.
I was just thinking that they would eventually fill out because they're just brand new.
That flour that is in there, all they're going to do is basically just thin out. There'll still be flowers, but they're not going to. I should have had those pictures that I took from Brockville's in comparison. Like I'm just, I don't know. We're middle of June already. They're not, yeah, I don't know. They're
Not gonna-
disappointing as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
You go to Brockville's and they look like a big giant poofy thing. And no, I'm serious. And I'm just curious, like town's paying for this. And I know we were told that they're going to be big poofy flowers, and those are not going to be big poofy flowers. It's a topic that seems to keep coming back and forth with issues, and I don't know how to. We used to manage it. We don't manage it anymore, so I don't know. I don't know.
I know last year's were much nicer and fuller and more colorful.
Oh, by far.
We're one of the lucky locations that have like the big, you know, the big long box in front of our place, and it looks lovely. I don't know.
No,
I
those
guess I can
don't
honestly-
look too bad. They
Yeah.
they will fill up more like they should.
Yeah.
But it's just the baskets. I don't know what town is paying for those. I have no idea what the numbers are, but it'd be nice if someone at town could look into that, because I don't get it. To me, first impressions are everything, and when you go to every other town and you see them doing it 10 times better than you, it kind of makes you go, I don't know. That's all I had to say about that, but I don't know if that can be brought forward to Matthew to pass on to somebody. I don't know. It's just my opinion. I don't know if anybody else agrees with me or not, but
No, that's fine. Does anybody want to add anything to that? How's everybody else feel about the flowers?
Baskets are a little sparse.
Pearl's not here.
Oh.
Yeah.
Damn
Well,
you, Pearl.
okay, well, maybe what we'll do is we'll add that to our beautification agenda. And maybe, you know, I mean, this year, obviously, if
No, nothing you can do this year. It is what it
there's
is.
nothing, but definitely, you know, we can look towards next year having a discussion, you know, prior to the planting season.
Yeah, I think they usually put their orders in the fall. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So let's take it to the beautification committee for some more.
Yeah, that's fine. That's all I got.
Oh, okay.
That's all the grumpiness I have for you. I'm good.
Feedback is important, Gavin.
What's that?
Feedback is important.
It's just some things that have come up that unfortunately have been a little annoying. That's all. Woof woof.
Does anybody else have any new business for us?
Nope.
Nope. Nope, we're good. Upcoming committee meetings. Promotions.
Before we move on to that, I don't know if Dawn is, you had emailed Tracy and I. Are you planning to continue with that? Yes.
And
Okay,
just,
so we'll have,
because of your fabulous work, I'm just, like, I just don't have any bandwidth left for anything,
so we should address that here then in this section.
Okay, I wasn't addressing it because I was hoping Dawn had changed her mind. So I just thought,
We roped her into this meeting. I don't think we could rope her into the next one.
Well, I just thought, if I went over it, there's only 4 more meetings, Dawn.
I don't mind staying until the new board's elected, I guess. I just didn't know when it's just that between the new laser thing that we're doing and the store is probably, I don't know, I'm going to say like 20 times busier than last year. And I just don't have anything. And I just feel like when I'm coming, I don't have anything left to be creative, or it's just hard even to get to the meetings. So like tonight, I'm still at work. I've been here since 8 o'clock this morning. Like it's kind of exploded for us. So it's not that I don't want to continue doing it. I just don't have anything really left to give.
Well, we'd really appreciate you staying on for the rest of the term. I think you make a really valuable contribution to the board, and we'd love to see you stay, and with no commitment to running for the next term.
Yeah, if it would help with quorum, especially over summer, because I don't really have too many plans up until September. So if it would help with that, I'll stay until then.
Okay, perfect. See,
thanks, Justin. I was wondering when.
No, that's why. When I saw you here, I thought, no, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to let. Okay. Okay. So that's wonderful news. Promotions committee, June 21st, and fall and winter promotion ideas. If everybody wants to start thinking about fall and winter, we're just like fashion. We have to be ahead of the game. And beautification committee, June 28th. And would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn? Thank you, everybody, for coming out on this beautiful evening. I'm sure we'd all like to be outside instead of inside. So motion to adjourn. Who'd like to be the mover?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Oh, Jeannie or Kevin or all in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, everybody, for a great meeting. Have a great rest of